Hi, today I'll show you how to make a pretty simple LED lightsaber. Here are all materials that I use and their prices. In the description you can find some links to Polish shops with these materials. First, we will make the handle. The first thing we will do is cutting two stainless steel pipes to specified length. Take the 30mm pipe and cut a piece with a length of 25 cm. Now take the 35mm pipe and cut off an 11 cm piece. Cut the end of this pipe at the angle of 45 degrees to make it look more like in Star Wars. Then grind it to get rid of the sharp edges. Grind the other side of this piece as well because you will touch it often. It's time to connect two pieces together. You can weld pipes together if you have an equipment. I used some 2-component glue which made a really strong holding. Wrap the thinner pipe with 2 layers of insulating tape to make a tighter fit for them. Apply some glue on the inside and on the outside of the pipe. Connect them and wait for the glue to solidify. Now you must drill the holes for the screws. If you would do a handle with a stainless steel, you need to know that it's really hard to drill. Start with a 2.5mm drill and go up to 4.2mm, following the photo in the video. Cool down the drill bit to prevent it from getting red hot. Trim 2 M5 screws to the length of number 1 and 8 screws to the length of number 2, as on the video. In order to screw the screws, you'll need to tap the holes drilled a while ago. If you're using an M5 screws, you should use an M5 tap and you start with a 1 stripe, then a double stripe and then the one without a stripe. You need to decide how long your blade will be. In Star Wars Saga it's usually around 91 cm. To your blade size you need to add 5 cm that goes into the emitter. My blade is 96 cm and without the part hidden in emitter it's the 91 cm blade. I advise you to do it a bit shorter, like 90 cm total, which gives around 85 cm of the blade. It will be easier to balance and use. Cut 2 LED strips that are the same length as your blade and stick them back to back, and remember about the plus and minus to be on the same side of the final strip. Secure the LEDs with the thin insulate tape stripes. Solder one cable to minus and one to plus. It may happen that solder won't stick to your LED strip, then just solder the wire itself and then try to solder that wire to the LED strip. Now solder the cables on the other side and secure them with the hot glue and heat shrink tubes. Remember to always check if the lights are working after any change in electronics. Now you need to connect cables from the one side to the cables from the other side. You should peel off some cable cover and connect the cables as on the video. Check if everything works and then solder them and secure with heat shrinks. Then you need to solder a mini Tamiya connector to the LED strip. To make the RGB lightsaber you will need RGB LED strip connector, RGB light strip, remote for the controller, and the thin controller as shown here. It's time to connect the cable from the controller to the Tamiya connector. Cut off the connector from the controller part and solder in the Tamiya connector. You can solder the RGB light strip just like the one with the one color, but it's harder and the cables are smaller, that's why I use the connector. After sticking back to back the light strip, secure the connector using the insulating tape. Now connect all the cables, red to red, green to green, blue to blue and black to white. The best way to do this is to get rid of the cable cover from the part with the connector and solder it to the other wire just like on the video. Now we need to blow the lights of the LED strip. Stick the double-sided tape to the LED strip and then rotate it twice in the PE foam or the tracing paper, which is much better and it won't burn from the heat produced by the lights. Then you need to rotate it once in a milky white window foil and stuck it into the smaller polycarbonate tube. Cut the excess of the tube after fitting the LEDs. Wrap the smaller polycarbonate tube in some layers of PE foam until you will have a tube that fits no problem to the bigger tube. Cut off some more of the milky white window foil and rotate the plate once in it. Now you will need to make a pommel and the blade tip. Cut a 3 cm piece of the wider stainless steel pipe and 3 circles of the plexiglass. 2 should be 30mm in diameter and 1 should be 34mm in diameter. In the piece of the wider steel pipe, make 2 holes on the opposite sides with 6mm diameter, and then make 4.2mm holes in the same place on the handle of the saber and tap them. In one of the smaller circles, make a 10mm hole to fit the cables. Stick the tips to the blade and a bigger plexiglass circle to the 3 cm steel tube. Wrap the blade with some insulating tape and put in the handle, then secure it with screws in the emitter. Stick the battery in, connect the cables and put on the pommel. You may ask yourself, why have I used some plexiglass instead of steel in the pommel? And that's because the signal for LED is able to go through the plexiglass. Another important part is the balance. You should have it in the place where emitter connects with the plate, or even a bit closer to your hand. As you can see, without a weight, the saber has its center of gravity a bit in a wrong place. That's why I have added one piece of a wider steel tube. Stick some insulating tape and stick both parts together. Next you can make a leather grid. Cut off a long 3 cm stripe of some leather material. Then just stick it onto the saber like it's done here. At the end, I want to show you why am I using a stainless steel and not, for example, some aluminum, which is much easier to cut and drill. That's because it's too soft and too light and I would have no chance balancing it.
When I found you,